So Microsoft just had their annual business applications launch event, and there were a ton of cool features that they showcased and talked about. But I wanted to take everything that was talked about and condense it down into one video where we talk about the three main takeaways that I had from the event. And I gotta be honest, considering all of the generative AI capabilities announced in last year's event and rolled out over the year, I was worried that this year's wouldn't have been that interesting, but I think somehow this year's was even better. I guess you'll just have to see for yourself. Now, the event every year is always pretty big as people tune in to see the latest and greatest features coming to biz apps. Something that was cool that I hadn't necessarily heard of before was that Copilot would give you the ability to, and what this means for the businesses that use them. I am not saying that Microsoft is lying, but they said that currently 200,000 plus businesses are currently using. So if you missed the event or want a quick recap, you are in the right place. Hey, welcome to the channel. My name is Griffin Lickfeld, and I am a Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Power Platform developer and consultant. And today was the day where we finally got to see what Microsoft has been working on in the realm of business applications. If you have any questions or comments about the features covered in the BizApps launch event or in this video, be sure to drop them in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you have to say and discuss with you down there. The first big takeaway is that they are committed to building out Copilot. I get Copilot can be confusing because it's constantly changing and evolving right now, but essentially there are three main pillars that they talked about regarding Copilot in today's event. These pillars are Copilot for Sales, Copilot for Service, and then Copilot for Finance. The majority of the presentation today was about these three different pillars and the different features that came with it, so let's talk about it. I want to start off with a quote that the VP of D365 Sales and Marketing, Lori Lamke, said that I thought was insightful. It's clear that to compete at scale, organizations will need to embrace generative AI or get left behind. I may be biased because I work most closely with sales as opposed to some of the other CRM capabilities, but if you ask me, Copilot for Sales is by far the most built out and ready to go feature of the other Copilot offerings. Copilot for Sales allows business analysts to discover new and untapped markets for their business to target. Copilot can then create the specific marketing materials specifically designed for reaching that target audience. These marketing teams can then use Copilot directly in D365 to create and update these marketing materials. They showed a brief snippet of this happening in a recorded demo in the presentation, and it looked a lot like the current Microsoft Designer interface with the text box, the little loading screen, and how it displayed the image. I think it's cool to see this functionality kind of recycled in a way into customer journeys. We already know some of Copilot's suggestion capabilities that it provides to sales team members to help them sell more, but something that was cool that I hadn't necessarily heard of before was that Copilot would give you the ability to go to a Teams meeting and find the meeting summary. Once you're looking at this meeting summary or this AI-generated recap, then it can actually provide suggestions for you for the updates you should make to the records in Dataverse. So as an example, say you were having a Teams meeting with an opportunity and the meeting went really well and someone from the opportunities account said something along the lines of, yes, this is great. Let's go ahead and have you send us a quote on what you're proposing here. Microsoft is saying that the meeting recap of this meeting would be able to use Copilot to capture that this opportunity record should be closed and a quote should be created. All of this would be done through a suggestion in Teams, not in Dynamics. Maybe I'm just a nerd who thinks this stuff is cool and the ability to improve that efficiency without even having to navigate to a different screen or app, but if you ask me, that's pretty cool. Moving on to Copilot for Service, this has the ability to instantly summarize case records. It can create warranties or orders when necessary from a case. It can create contextual email drafts that customer service representatives are then able to proofread and edit before sending it to the customer, all in the customer service workspace. Another cool feature that they mentioned was Copilot's ability to create knowledge articles. Essentially, say I'm a customer service rep and I resolve a case for an issue or a situation that hasn't necessarily been resolved before. Copilot will provide a suggestion to create a knowledge article related to this case resolution. Copilot will then create this article using all of the information on this case record, all of the related conversations, and create a knowledge article in the knowledge base that other customer service reps and their co-pilots can use to better solve cases. Essentially, this is giving Copilot the ability to get better over time. As a part of customer care, they also touched a little bit on the field service and the field service mobile app, specifically highlighting that you can now add outside and third-party technicians to work orders, and that you can have field service technicians update multiple work order tasks at one time using Copilot. They gave an example where, say I am a field service technician and I am on site resolving a work order and I am on my phone, I can see the list of work order tasks that need to be completed. Instead of having to select each task and update them individually, I can select them all and select the Copilot button in the ribbon. Then I could tell Copilot exactly what I did while I was there resolving the work order, what time I got there, the steps I took, etc. Copilot will then take what I said and provide a list of suggested updates to all of the tasks I originally selected. Then with the push of a button, Copilot will go and update all of these tasks for me, so ultimately technicians are spending less time on their app. I do just have to say, if you are dragging your feet when it comes to learning about Copilot in D365 or the Power Platform, then you're probably a little bit behind the curve. But that is not to frighten you. Let me share another quote in the presentation, specifically from Charles Lamanna, where this was essentially almost the first thing said in the entire hour-and-a-half presentation. He said, if I had to summarize an essential theme across this release wave, we are applying Copilot to better empower employees, improve your business processes, and engage your customers. I will leave it at that. The second big takeaway for me were the improvements that Copilot is making in regards to developing in the Power Platform. 4 months ago, I actually made a video about using Copilot in the Power Platform to build a Power Automate flow or to build a Canvas app for me. And at that point in time, Copilot was just flat out not good. It was not able to successfully do anything that was too complex that a typical Excel user wouldn't be able to figure out on their own. But the presentation included a considerable amount of improvements that Copilot was bringing to the Power Platform and its ability to create low-code solutions. One that I thought was particularly interesting as an example that they shared was that Copilot can analyze your business, notify you of a potential bottleneck, and provide Power Platform suggestions on what you should build. Like, hey, you should build a Power Automate to solve this, or you should build a Copilot in Copilot Studio to resolve this. Then you can utilize Copilot to actually build that component that you decide to go with. Say, for example, you realize that you need an automation to automate a business process that's currently being done manually. You can tell Copilot in Power Automate, once a lead is created that meets this certain criteria, I want you to automatically create a task activity for that person's owner and send them an email. This may be a silly example, but you get the picture. Copilot can then take what you said and create a flow, or at least a rough draft template of the flow that you would need in order to do that. Copilot in Power Automate can create or troubleshoot flows using natural language. Copilot in Power BI can give users the ability to summarize data, create reports, or even have some question and answer back and forth with Copilot about their data. Copilot in Power Apps can create fully fledged Canvas and model-driven apps for your users to begin using, as well as provide governance on the generative AI within said apps. I am skeptical of this next quote that they shared because, like I said, I don't think Copilot today in the Power Platform is as good as Microsoft promises. I am not saying that Microsoft is lying, but they said that currently 200,000 plus businesses are currently using Copilot in the Power Platform today. So I think it's safe to say that the Copilot in the Power Platform is going to continue to improve, and as a D365 and Power Platform developer and consultant, it's pretty exciting to see. If you are thinking to yourself that you want to get into low-code development or learn about the Power Platform, then I want to personally invite you to sign up for this completely free self-paced course that is going to cover everything you need to know to begin low-code development today. Not too long ago, I was a complete beginner and I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know what the Power Platform was. But in just 2 years, I have gone from being an associate to a senior level consultant, and I can truly say that I love what I do. The content in this course is handpicked by me so you can understand the basics of the Power Platform and ultimately be prepared to take the PL 900 certification if that's something you're interested in. If you are interested, be sure to follow the first link in the description down below, and do not forget to use the promo code YouTube at checkout in order to get the course for completely free. This is going to give you immediate access to the entire course so that you can start to change your future today. Now, let's get back to the conversation. Now, the third and final takeaway from today's event is that you need to learn how to use Copilot Studio. Microsoft understands that every business is different. They all have different needs. They're all in different industries with different standards. They all have different employees that may think or operate differently. Because of this, the previously announced Microsoft Copilot Studio is becoming an integral part into the Microsoft Power Platform. If you haven't noticed, there is no Power Virtual Agents anymore. If you have created these PVA chatbots previously, then they are now found within the Copilot Studio. But this is not going to be a fully fledged Copilot Studio walkthrough. There are a ton of other phenomenal videos out there already, but I wanted to share the example that they shared in their presentation today about how Copilot Studio was used by Ford to improve their business. Ford has used Copilot Studio to create a chatbot that they surface on their website to answer customer questions about the mobile app as well as the customer warranties. Things like what coverages that they have and as well as when those coverages are going to expire. This is a straightforward example of the business value that Copilot Studio brings. Essentially, Copilot Studio is the ability to create chatbots. But instead of having to hard code each topic and the sequence that the topics would follow, Copilot Studio will now have the ability for these chatbots to use the large language model capabilities where it can better serve the customers that it's talking to. Microsoft has also announced previously that Copilot is going to be able to connect to any SharePoint resources that you decide to share and eventually Dataverse. So where does this leave us today? Essentially, Microsoft is full steam ahead regarding implementing Copilot and generative AI into its current suite of CRM and ERP applications. Essentially, Copilot has the ability to dramatically boost the user experience and their efficiency, especially when using Copilot correctly. And Microsoft is committed to building Copilot in a way that best supports its users, not to replace them. Ultimately, I am pretty excited for the changes that were showcased today. I think it's pretty hard not to be, especially considering the ability businesses have to boost efficiencies and business processes with using capabilities like generative AI. Thank you guys so much for sticking to end the video. My name is Griffin Lickfelt, the host of Citizen Developer. If you liked the video, consider subscribing and connecting with me on LinkedIn, and I'm excited to connect with you guys in the next one.